all the witnesses, and I have so many questions because honestly, conflicting information is what I've been seeing streaming through my office. So I'm going to ask some short questions and hopefully get some short answers. Mr. Princess, you mentioned the cost of the debit interchange has gone up. Has your gross revenue gone up at the same time, or is it a shift in the way people are paying for your services?
One, it's a shift of the way people are paying for their services. So the more they're using their debit cards, the more of the interchange fees I'm paying.
Right.
But what creates a problem for a small business person like myself, and there's thousands out there in the United States, is that we don't know until the end of the month when we get that statement what our interchange fees are going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So that creates a very big problem when you're trying to operate a business, not knowing what you're going to end up paying. Okay,
let me ask you this. Do you decide which routing your card goes on and all this?
No.
No. Okay. Who negotiates your fee for you?
The merchant company.
So you go through like a merchant payment
merchant
coalition?
Payment, correct.
If I could, Congresswoman, folks like us have their own service providers who sign them up and provide processing, and we don't do that.
Okay. Mr. Kemper, on your debit cards right now, do you have any charges at all associated with that for the consumer?
No, we don't.
No.
And as I said, it's extremely popular for being used and has basically displaced the check.
Right. I know. I'm in that generation where he's writing checks. I'm using my credit card, but my kids are using their debit card. So has the cost, Mr. Cantor mentioned the cost going up. This is another conflicting piece of information. Has your interchange cost on debit cards gone up to these 98% that Mr. Seltzer said?
Well, my view is that it's primarily because the debit card is the most successful product we've ever had.
Well, I mean, but has the cost of the debit
the cost is
gone up
the
or
cost
not?
is a percentage of sale to us, and I think it's true pretty much across the board. It's stayed fairly constant. Maybe it's gone up a little bit, but I think these the dollars are driven by the volume because everybody is using debit cards.
But if you had to average the average cost of an interchange fee over 10 years, or let's say 5 years ago, because 7-Eleven has made an assertion in their statement that it's gone up 500% over the last 5 or 10 years. Is that?
That would be nothing. I think that's driven by volume. Our debit fees have gone up because they've replaced checks, and so the fees have gone up. But as a percentage of the retail sales, they've stayed very steady.
Okay.
If I could, Congresswoman, just for a moment on this question, actually the rates have gone up very significantly over time. In fact, PIN rates were next to nothing about a decade ago. And so
this is what I mean.
Yes.
We're getting two conflicting.
We're happy to give you those numbers.
Okay.
And I would note, there's a lot of things that are conflicting here. Commerce Bank's website says they do charge some of their customers for debit cards. So look, there are a number of things where the facts ought to be correct.
Well, we'll let Mr. Kemper.
May I respond, Madam Chairman?
I want to ask Mr. Michael something because I really have only a minute 43 left, and you fall into the category of the under 10 billion, obviously with your credit union.
Well under, yes.
Yes. Did you submit any comments to the Fed?
I have not had the time, and in fact, until I was asked to speak in this hearing, I don't have the time to really investigate the effects of this. And that's one of the problems I think most small credit unions have. Is
I would agree with that.
We're having a difficult
time. Would it be
time.
a safe assumption, probably, that your association, Credit Union National Association, I'm sure has submitted something representative of, because only 2 credit unions fall in this category.
They're in the process of submitting 2 separate comment letters to the Fed.
All right. Thank you. Do you charge for your debit card right now?
I have to because I lose money on my transaction accounts.
So you do like a fee?
I have a fee on the transactions to try and allocate some of that cost to the members that most use it. Mm-hmm. I have too much in fixed cost, and those fixed costs I don't think are being even considered as part of the Fed study. And for small institutions, that's a major portion of what we do.
Yeah, I mean, proportionally, too, that's got to be a problem.
It is.
Because you don't have access to the larger networks, and you don't have obviously the lawyers and the accountants and everything else that has to go along with finding with doing the correct fraud and protections and all those kinds of things. Let's see. You know, the question that I really want to find out here, and I assume, I mean, I don't know that the Fed actually knows this or not, but is the cost, whether they've gone, I understand volume of business has gone up, so your interchange is going to go up because it's a greater part of your bottom line. More people are paying with debit cards, and so your interchange fee is going to go up with that because you have more people using the card.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
if I may, as a small business owner, what I'm very confused about and trying to understand throughout this whole process, and maybe some of the bankers could explain this to me, is how is a interchange fee actually determined? There's so many different types of debit cards out there with rewards, where I, as a small business, don't know what these fees are, what percentage are, and I'm at the mercy of the bank at the end of the month to give me a statement and tell me, this is what you got to pay.
I see.
And I have no understanding what I'm paying or why I'm paying.
All right. Thank you. Ms. Maloney.